Hey everyone, I'm Chris, and today I'm going to show you how to take a regular scarf and turn it into an infinity scarf using a whip stitch. So grab your yarn and your scarf and come join me. So here I have a rather large scarf. I have a very large one here so that I can show you really plainly and clearly what is happening. You don't have to do this with quite a large scarf. But I want to turn this into an infinity scarf. What is an infinity scarf? An infinity scarf is a scarf that has no ends and no right side or wrong side. And the way that you can do that is you can knit or crochet it that way to begin with. But if you find a scarf that you love and you want to change it into an infinity scarf, it's really very simple. So say mom knit you or crocheted you a wonderful scarf, but you don't want to have to fuss with it all the time with the ends. It's really easy for you to change it. So this is a flat scarf and I want to connect the ends together. So I would take these two ends and put them end to end. But if I put them right side matching right side, I'm just going to have a large tube. That's fine. That's just an endless scarf. But if you really want to make it an infinity scarf, what you need to do is you're going to lay one right side up. Okay, so I'm just using my table to hook this here. And then you're going to take the other side and lay it wrong side up. Okay, so I've made a twist in my scarf along the middle here. You're going to need yarn on a plastic needle. This is a really large one. They come in all different sizes. And I'm using a contrasting color of yarn so that you can really see what I am doing. So here's where I'm going to start, is I'm going to start at one end and I'm going to grab that cast on edge or that cast off edge. So this is either our beginning chain if you're crocheting, and then our last one, last row when we're finished, or it's your cast on cast off if you've knit. And I'm just going to grab, make sure you grab a good stitch, okay? And you're going to pull that yarn through, okay, and leave yourself a tail. You are going to have to weave in an end. And then you're going to go across to the other side and find the corresponding stitch because you want everything to match up. This works best if you have the same number of stitches on each end. Okay, so see there, I've gone up from the bottom, across, up from the bottom. I'm going to go to the next stitch, up from the bottom, grab a stitch. All right. There we go. I'm going to pull it, and then I'm going to go to the next stitch on the opposite side and do the same thing. So up from the bottom, okay? And you want everything to line up nice and evenly. That way, when you get to the other end, both ends match. And if you're using a very large bulky yarn like I am, sometimes it's hard to pull it through. So let me do a couple more stitches, and then I'll show you how this stitch is going to disappear. So I'm going to keep doing this. And I will be right back. So you can see here I have kind of like a little ladder going back and forth. I'm going to keep working on my ladder and then I'll show you our next step. So here I've worked about halfway across here, and I just wanted to show you, you can see here the ladder that I'm making back and forth, always going from the bottom, across, from the bottom, across. So I'm kind of just weaving back and forth. I'm basically just making new stitches. And what you'll see here is if you pull, I can pull from both ends here. See here, I'm pulling from both ends. And aside from the fact that I used a contrasting yarn, you can barely see what I've done, and you can see here that my rows continue to match up. So that is how to whip stitch this together. I'm going to go ahead and finish this and show you what it's like once I weave in the ends. You'll never see it. You can see on the back here we just have a little bit of a seam there. But that's just because we're using a big, thick, bulky yarn here to show you what's really going on. But there you go. That's how to whip stitch, and I'll be right back to show you the finished product. So one final tip when you're whip stitching your ends together is that you can see here that my rows continue to match up. I've done a good job on that, but you can see the seam area is maybe just a little bit wider than the rest of the scarf. And that's because we do tend to stretch it out to try and find where we should do our stitches so everything matches up. And my pointer there is to just make sure that you give this one extra little tug, but not to tug it so much that you scrunch everything together. So you can see here I over tightened this stitch. So you just want to just give it a nice gentle tug to make sure everything is nice and even. You've kept the gauge the same throughout your project. And you can see here, there is your ends. So you have taken a plain scarf and turned it into an infinity scarf. And it was really easy. It took me about 5 minutes to do. So it's really not that hard. All you have to do now is weave in these ends and you're all set. As you can see, I now have a finished infinity scarf. I no longer have any ends that are going to get caught everywhere. And I have the seam here in the middle where you can see it. Can you see it? You can't, because we did a whip stitch and it came together quickly and easily. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below and we'll get back to you. Have some fun. Bye-bye.